So first on the card was Mike Lee against Drew Nolan. Now straight away in this you could see Drew Nolan was going to be struggling with the length disadvantage he faced over Mike Lee here. You can see, I mean, I don't know how last minute this announcement was, but there was no prep went into getting inside the longer fighter. There was just no creativity there at all. His head was down. I think his eyes were closed for the majority of the fight. He got put down a couple of times by Mike Lee, and inevitably it was over in round one. So well done, Mike Lee. Next up, we have Robert Madrid against Chris Garcia. Now, this was a great matchup on paper. And it was in reality. I completely enjoyed it whilst it lasted. Robert Madrid just could not break down that jab. Chris Garcia has a really dominating jab, a really controlling jab. He managed to control the whole fight entirely behind this jab that he has. And Madrid just could not disarm it, and he couldn't find a way around it. So it went 3 rounds, and it was just constantly the scales were just tipped in the favour of Chris Garcia there. And they went back to their stools in the third. Now you heard some commotion. Are we finished? Are we done? Have we had enough? Etc. etc. But then the commentary sold the stoppage as a physician's stoppage. I'm not sure if they managed to sell that to me, but that's what the official verdict was, and so that's what we'll go with. But well done, Chris Garcia. Yeah, very impressive. Another real killer in the bantamweight. Joseph White, Leonardo Padomo, they are the last fight on the undercard. And Padomo was just too much for Joseph White. It was just very, very straightforward. He was outclassed. Put him down. Padomo put White down about a minute into the first round, and then finished him off a few seconds after. So yeah, well done, Leonardo Padomo. A very, very good debut. So first fight, main card, Dylan Weinmiller against Stephen Townsville. Now I flagged this up as a possible contender for fight of the night. These two guys, two of the hardest heads in BKFC, as you'll have seen from my previous... In fact, you might not have seen from my previous reviews because I've lost most of the content from my channel, so scrub that. These two, two of the most durable fighters in BKFC. It's all about durability, it's all about power. So you know when you see these two put up against each other, it's quite exciting because you know you're going to see a competition of maximum violence here. And yeah, that was very much what it was. There was a lot of power absorbed during that first round on both sides. They were really slugging it out. It went into the second round, and you just start to see that Dylan Weinmiller started to just get the edge over Townsville, and in true Townsville fashion, he walked straight onto one from Weinmiller. Now, you know, like I've said before about Townsville, you could put him on tram lines, you know where he's going to be. He's very easy to hit. Both of them are easy to hit. Weinmiller's a little bit more dynamic than Townsville, but yeah, you just know what you're going to get when you see these two up against each other. And yeah, well done, Dylan Weinmiller. G. Perez against Ryan Carroll. Yeah, very uninteresting announcement that, wasn't it? G. Perez, had my eye on him. I've been very interested in him. I've been hoping that he does well in BKFC. Want to see how well he can do there in as a fighter. We're all used to seeing him looking after the fighters in there as the cut man, aren't we? So he had his debut against Rob Fuller back in December there. Made very easy work. Got Rob Fuller out there in the first, and Josh Ritchie in the second, back on BKFC 38 in April there. I remember saying after BKFC 38, he really needs to step up because these are entry-level oppositions that he's doing away with here. So I was hoping that we were going to see a bit of a step up for his next outing. But then we got the announcement of Ryan Carroll, which for me is not only not a step up, it's actually a step down. Ryan Carroll is a step down from Josh Ritchie and Rob Fuller as far as I'm concerned. And as we'd expect, he was out of there in the first round. And then for David Feldman to go on to award him Performance of the Night, I just thought was weird. It was just surrounding G. Perez. It was just another little bit of weirdness that was taking place in the BKFC 45. The way in with him slapping and calling out a TikToker. I'm thinking, what are you doing? You know, he's a TikToker kid. You know, and he's walking over, confronting him, slapping him. And you're just thinking, this is beyond cringe. Do you have any idea of the damage you're doing to your reputation here, G? So, you know, I'm sure that's all just to bring eyes to BKFC. There's no way that a fight's going to go on. It's going to take place in bare knuckle between some TikToker kid and a bare knuckle professional. All we want to see from G is for him to step up, step up a level or even 2 or 3 levels at this rate. You can't continue to fight entry level opponents much longer. You're going to do yourself no favors in that respect. But well done, G Perez. You can only fight what's in front of you, and on to the next one.
Trying to block like that, these little punches with no block are going to get through and do damage.
That is Bryce Hall. He is a social media star and influencer. He has talked about fighting G Perez in BKFC. They had what we would deem a minor altercation at the weigh-ins yesterday. A light slap by G Perez to the face of Bryce Hall, and you see G Perez on the victory going immediately to Bryce Hall.
And moving on to James Dennis against Rene Rodriguez. Now, this had all the makings of a really good matchup. There was a great chemistry between these two pre-fight. And it started off and it looked really like Dennis was really uptight. He needed to relax a little bit. And Rodriguez just had the edge over him going through the first. Right through the first, looked like Rodriguez had the edge over Dennis. But Dennis managed to come out a little bit more relaxed in the second there. It was quite a dramatic end to it, actually. Rodriguez kind of just still having the scales tipped in his benefit a little bit, but then Dennis managed to catch Rodriguez and put him down. I don't think he quite recovered from that first one. It was a hell of a cross right that he caught him with, actually, and he was kind of stuttering about a little bit, and the ref managed to let it go again. So they went for it, and then they both ended up in a heap on the deck, and Dennis managed to get up, and Rodriguez he got to his feet, but he was stumbling about all over the place. He never really recovered from the first one, so it was quite a dramatic ending with fighters falling all over the place. But well done, James Dennis, on the win there, and on to the next. So then we got Gilberto Aguila and Brian Duran. Now, Aguila is probably one of my most favourite characters on the BKFC, actually. He's that awkward. You have to like him. And his story's really good. You know, he comes over from Mexico by himself. On the announcement at the start of this, they said that for some reason his coach and his corner team couldn't be there for him. He doesn't have a coach or a corner team. He just comes over from Mexico by himself, gets in there, has a fight, and goes home. Bless Christine Faria stepping up and cornering him on this occasion, although there was linguistical issues there. Needed a translator, which is never easy in a corner to go 3 ways to get your message across. But bless her for that. She's very good. I remember she stood up and looked after Tyler when Tyler went feral in the States, didn't she? And they formed a really good bond. And she's very good of her for doing that. But I mean, how good is Duran? We won't know until he steps up. He's very wild. He swings himself off his feet a lot. And you can tell stylistically when you watch him, you can tell that he trains with Slavesky. They're very similar. In the way that they go for it, the amount they put 110% in everything. I mean, for me, the way they swing, when he's 4 fights in now, I'd be surprised if he sees 10 fights. There'll be nothing left of his hands. You hopefully tame that down a little bit, because without a doubt he's going to be getting a lot of hand damage with being that wild and putting so much into it. But well done, Brian Duran. It went to 3 rounds. After the third, the physician pulled Aguila out. But the way Aguila celebrated, you would have thought that he'd won. Really, at first I was really confused what was going on. I thought, hang on, who's pulled out here? Has Duran pulled out? Because Aguila was really celebrating. But bless him, and well done again. But congratulations, Brian Duran. Eduardo Peralta against Howard Davis. Now it is good to see Howard Davis back firing on all cylinders again. He broke his hand a while ago, didn't he? And that knocked him off for a while, obviously. And then he just looked a little bit slow coming back into it, you know. He just wasn't all there. I think he may have been going through some other things outside, away from the fight game as well. But he looks to be all there again now, you know. When he first came out of the BKFC, you could see he had hands, and just off this last performance, you can see he's back on the ball again, and he's looking really good. He said he's going to come back down to 145 again. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a problem for everybody in 145. He could quite well walk away with that belt if he gets that opportunity. He's so long, you know, and he does have really good hands, you know. When he's operating at 100%, he's very difficult for anybody. I think anybody at 145 would struggle with him. It just went into the first round, this one. Howard, he caught Peralta. I think it was a jab across his left eye. I think it caught right on the eyeball, which just put him out of action straight away. Howard Davis hasn't put any miles on his body through this, so well done to him. He's on to the next one. Would be good. I really hope Howard Davis can go, you know, and lift that title in 145. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens there. But well done, Howard Davis. Great win. And on to Eric Lozano and Jake Boswick, and this was going to be a big ask for Eric Lozano, wasn't it? Didn't manage to get through the 5 rounds, but certainly on the progression that Jake Boswick has taken of late, where he just seems to be improving. Every time we see him out, he's just better and better, and he looks better in every way. And went through 5 rounds, which is not unusual for Jake. Most of his fights do go all the way. But yeah, he just controlled this very well. A big letdown for Jake in the past has been when he gets involved. He likes a brawl at times. He likes to get tangled up, you know, and just exchange. And he's always the unlucky one in those exchanges. And in the past, it has cost him the win, I feel. And he didn't get really caught up in any of those. There's a few little instances there, but he has that really under control, and he's really benefiting from it. Really good performance from Jake Boswick. You know, I think, you know, if he gets out again this year, you know, maybe at the start of next year, he possibly could be looking for a title shot for 175, sometimes towards the mid 2024. By that time, probably my estimation will be Mike Richmond will be the title holder of the 175 by that time, which would be a very big challenge for Jake. But if he keeps on progressing as he is, like I say, it's time after time you're seeing an improvement in him, then you know, it would be quite something, wouldn't it? Well done, Jake Boswick. And then finally we have the headliner, the main event on the card, Louis Palomino against James Lilley. We've all been anticipating this for a long time. Butterflies started for me Friday morning around 10 o'clock. By 3 a.m. on the Saturday morning, so still sitting waiting for the fight. I was positively feeling nauseous about the outcome of this fight. And unfortunately, yeah, it slipped away from James Lilley. It was a great fight. It was a really intense fight. There was a lot on the line, a massive amount of pressure there. James Lilley really needed to make the most of this opportunity. It may never come around again. Louis Palomino, he could not afford to lose that title. He is coming towards the end of his career. He's going to be wanting those big money fights, and that title just makes it a little bit more easy for him to command the purses that he's looking for. And yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I was impressed with what went on in there. I thought initially when I watched it live, I thought something had happened to James in the second there, but on watching it back again, I think my concerns were a little bit mislaid there, possibly. Now, I thought the American crowd, I was very confused. I was dismayed by what was going on with the crowd. They started booing in the third and a little bit through the fourth as well. Not sure that they understand what they're watching. I think maybe that sector of crowd would probably be happier watching pit fighting rather than, you know, the elite sharp end of BKFC. because there was no need for any booing there. There was a lot going on, and if anything, on a fight with so much pressure, you would probably expect to see a little bit more avoidance than there was. There didn't seem to be any avoidance. They were going at it. They were doing the best they could, with having to deal with what was in front of them, and for both fighters, they were dealing with one of the best in the world, and I was impressed. Unfortunately, it slipped away. You could just see as the fight was going on, it was just slipping away a little bit from James, and there just wasn't enough of an answer for him just to bring that scale back to a level balance. So yeah, I thought Louis Palomino's comments after the fight, I thought they were a little bit stupid, but that's not the first time. He doesn't seem to have a problem with being disrespectful, and so I just think, you kind of expect that. He did it with Tony Soto, didn't he, after the Tyler Goodjohn fight? That fight was very, very close. They were 2 each going into the 5th, and it went Tony Soto's way. Louis Palomino completely took the limelight away from Tony Soto, and he's not even fighting. He was in Tyler's corner, but that's just, that just seemed to be really disrespectful, and on this occasion I don't think there was any need for the comments. He was alluding to a point that maybe he had something else left, and I don't think anybody else watching that fight believed that Louis Palomino had more in the tank. It was just a very, very strange comment.
Once again, another challenger steps up. Once again, you take out another challenger, Luis Palomino. A lot of people consider you the GOAT. I want to know, at this point in your career, that's another title defense. What do you want next?
Look, man, first of all, I want to apologize to everybody that came out here to watch this tonight, because I bang a lot harder than that. But you guys got to understand my position. I'm the only champion that has defended successfully more than 3 times. This is my 6th title defense. I'm 9-0 today. The only 2-weight division undefeated champion of the world. I'm the best in the world. But if I'm gonna risk a fight, I'm gonna risk the circumstance of a fight that can possibly go to a loss, I wanna do it to a name that everybody knows around the world. I've seen Eddie Alvarez thought that this guy was gonna take this fight today. Eddie Alvarez, where you at? He said he's still here. My brother, what are we doing? I don't dance either. We share some words. We keep that in private. We share some words. All respects to you. I'm a fan. But you're a beast. I'm a beast. For you, I'll risk it all, baby.
And so, all I could see that Louis Palomino could have done differently was fight more recklessly. And is that what we want to see? It's probably what pit fighter fans want to see. But I don't think it's what, the hardcore connoisseurs of BKFC or bare knuckle fighting want to see. Very, very impressed with the step up of skill and ability at the sharp end of the BKFC, and we want to keep it that way, I'm sure, and it's going to continue to impress. So yeah, I don't see the point in the comment. Yeah, I could have fought more recklessly if there was somebody else in there. And he's wanting a name that's bigger than him. He stated he wants a worldwide known name in there, so he does want to fight somebody who's better known than he is. And I think he deserves it, but I think there's a better way of going about it. But it did open up the door for David Feldman to criticize him, take a little bit of a strip off him in the post-fight presser, and saying they were going to have a word after the event. But yeah, I think that was all kind of pandering to this sector of crowd that started booing, which I can't understand. It's not the first time they've done it. I've seen fights before, really good fights, really good technical, strategic, like chess fights, and they start booing. I don't think there's any need to pander to that, to explain to that. There's nothing you can do with that. You certainly don't want to change the direction of the promotion for the sake of ignorance. And so with that, I'll leave it there. Congratulations to Louis Palomino on the win. Really good. You have proven, to me. I think if you ask any of the fighters, even stateside, 85% of them would have thought that James Lilley was going to come away with the win on this, and unfortunately that was not to be the case. So as far as I'm concerned, Louis Palomino, he completely proven himself to me, and I think to many others as well. Commiserations to James Lilley. Should be very, very proud, as we all are, and should be very happy with your performance. Just didn't go his way on this occasion. So I'll leave it there. So thank you for watching Mitts Up TV. Do remember to like and subscribe, and I will catch you all on the next one.
Over here, Mike Davis from Lights Out Podcast. What is your feeling as an owner and somebody that has publicly stated that they've went to the bank with their house in order to make an event happen, and one of your star fighters says, yeah, this opponent isn't worthy to give my all?
I mean, it's just not it's not acceptable. It's not something that we like. It's not something we condone. It's not something that we're happy about. We're going to have a long talk with our longest tenured champion, 9-0, and is going to say that he played it safe. It's not acceptable for me.